Baghdad, its magnificent new capital. The Church of the East, who did we just understand the Church of the East to be? They were the Sabbath-keeping church. Removed its spiritual capital from Seleucia to Baghdad, where it remained for approximately 500 years. So right in the middle of these people that were the Bible describes as locusts, there was a Christian church allowed to flourish there. It was allowed to be there. They were not hurt because they had the seal of God. Okay. Now I've put references there, so if you want to get the books, you can look them up. This is how much freedom that they were given to the Christian subjects, i.e. the true Christians, not the apostate ones who the Arabs tormented. These writers even, this guy Gibbon, by the way, he wasn't even a Christian, but he recognised it through history. Right? This is what he recognised. Muhammad readily granted the security of their persons, the freedom of their trade, and the property of their goods, and the toleration of their worship. Their worship was even tolerated. Hurt not those who have the seal of God in their foreheads. Wow. Amazing. Okay, we'll skip a couple of verses. We'll go to Revelation 9 verse 7. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads, as it were, crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. Right. The Arabs were... so now we see the Bible is starting to zoom in. It's giving a very broad picture of who these locusts are. Now it's starting to zoom in and it's starting to give you more detail about these particular locusts, and now it's saying that they appear as horses. You've got the face of man. Okay, well, the Arabian cavalry was world renowned at that time. You know, the Arabian horses, and there was just masses of them. Thousands upon hundreds of thousands, just masses of them, and they're like little ants going everywhere. Oh, locusts, I should say. I'll get that right. There was masses of them. And they seemed to conquer everything wherever they went. Now, Isaiah, we'll go to a book of Isaiah. Now, Isaiah chapter 21, that's an interesting chapter. I'm not going to go into it too much. That's dealing with, it talks about Babylon there. It talks about the descendants of Ishmael as well. But here's a bit of a reference here. He saw a chariot with a couple of horsemen, a chariot of asses, and a chariot of camels. And he hearkened diligently with much heed. So there's chariot of asses. I thought it was interesting. And we'll go back to Genesis when it's talking about just before Ishmael was to be born. The angel was telling Hagar, you've got to call him Ishmael because he will be a wild man. This is what the Bible says. He will be a wild man, and his hand will be against every man. And every man's hand will be against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of his brethren. So this guy is going to be a wild man, and everyone's going to be against him. Now it's interesting, the word wild man there, you know what it translates to from the Hebrew? It means as a wild ass. Remember we just read about the asses? Now the Bible's so interlinked, amazing. And these early guys, you've got to remember they did it without a computer. I don't think I could do that. So anyway, the word there for wild man is pere. Just literally means wild ass. Okay, so notice in the last part, we'll go back to Revelation, last part of Revelation chapter 9 verse 7, on their heads were crowns of gold. It's interesting when you think of when I see on the news they're saying, we're going to find Osama bin Laden, they're just a bunch of goat herders, and they're nothing. You know, these Arabs are loaded. They're responsible for all the oil fields in the world. They're some of the richest people on the planet. They were the richest people on the planet in the time of the Bible too. Genesis... Here we go. Genesis 25, 12 to 16. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's sons. This is when they came to Abraham's funeral. Ishmael came, he brought his sons. Okay, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names according to their generations. The firstborn Ishmael, there was Nabajoth and Kedar, Adbeel and Mibsham, Sam, Mishma, Derma, Massa, Hadar, Tema, Jeddah, Naphish and Kedemah. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their towns and by their, what they dwell in. Castles. 12, what are they? Okay, so we can see the sons of Ishmael were known as princes. And often when you hear of sultan, it's often talking about a prince. Okay, that's a sultan is a prince, which is in the Arab world what they refer to. Now this map's not very good. Looks even worse on there. We can see 4 names mentioned there. At the top, Kedar. We read about that guy. This is Derma, Tema, and Dedan. This is the area that these guys used to live in. What area is it? Arabia, okay. And these are the ones that were known as princes. They were likened as locusts in the Old Testament. And these Bible students started to put the 2 and 2 together. Okay. That's what Revelation's talking about. Okay. Let's see what else. Nahum. Now this is talking about Nineveh. The people occupied Nineveh are also descendants of Ishmael. Thy crown are as locusts. Well, you can't get any more direct than that. It says, and thy captains are great grasshoppers, which camp in the hedges on the cold day. But when the sun riseth, they flee away, and their place is not known where they are. And a voice of the multitude being at ease was with her, and with them, with the men of the common sort, were brought the Sabians. Remember, the Sabians were the Arabians, or the Arabs, from the wilderness, which put bracelets on their hands and beautiful crowns on their heads, known as locusts. They come from an area that's called the abyss. There's that many of them that's like smoke. They wear crowns. Oh, the abstract picture's starting to become a little bit more clearer now. Well, it is in my mind. Okay, back to the story about when Gideon said unto them, I would desire a request of you, that ye would give me mercy, would give me, I don't know why mercy was in there, would give me every man the earrings of his prey, for they had golden earrings, because they were Ishmaelites. These guys had some serious money. And they answered, we will willingly give them. And they spread a garment, and did cast therein every man the earrings of his prey. And the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold, beside the ornaments, collars, and purple raiment that was on the kings of Midian. At that time, did Israel have a king? When Gideon was there a king in Israel? No, they didn't. The ones that had the kings were the Ishmaelites. And beside the chains that were about, what's it say? These guys had that much money, they used to flaunt it. Even the camels had some bling. Seriously, right? It's like these guys that drive around in little cars and they do them up. These guys had their camels, they used to do the cars up. They couldn't lower them much though, but anyway. All right. Serious amounts of money that these people had. Gold. These guys live like kings. Behold, here cometh a chariot of men with a couple of horsemen. Again, in Isaiah 21, that's dealing with the